Why is Federal Rule of Evidence for 101 important for relevance? Imagine a courtroom where every piece of evidence is a puzzle piece. Without the right ones, the picture of what really happened stays incomplete. That's where Federal Rule of Evidence for 101 comes into play. It acts like a gatekeeper, deciding which pieces are worth showing to the jury. This rule is the first step in making sure only useful information gets in front of the judge and jury. If irrelevant evidence slips through, it can distract everyone and make the trial longer than it needs to be. It might even lead to unfair decisions. So, relevance is the key to keeping trials clear and focused. Federal Rule of Evidence for 101 says that evidence is relevant if it has any chance of making a fact more or less likely than it would be without that evidence. It doesn't have to prove the fact completely. It just needs to make the fact a little more probable or less probable. For example, if a witness saw a person near the scene of a crime, that might not prove guilt, but it makes guilt a bit more likely. That's enough to be relevant. This low standard helps avoid excluding evidence that could help tell the story of what happened. In court, lawyers constantly ask themselves if their evidence meets this relevance test. If it does, they can try to introduce it. If not, they have to find other ways to prove their case. Judges use this rule to filter out information that doesn't help the jury decide the case. This keeps the trial on track and prevents unnecessary distractions. It's like a sieve that catches only the useful stuff. Relevance also works with other rules. Even if evidence is relevant under Rule 401, it might still be kept out if it could unfairly prejudice the jury or cause confusion. That's where other rules, like Rule 403, come in. But relevance always comes first. For example, evidence about a person's character might be relevant but could be excluded unless it's used for a specific purpose allowed by law. From a practical point of view, relevance helps both sides. Prosecutors and plaintiffs want to introduce evidence that supports their version. Defense attorneys challenge evidence that seems unrelated or distracting. Judges relying on this rule to keep the trial fair and efficient. It's a tool that ensures only facts that matter are considered. This way, everyone stays focused on the real issues, and the case gets decided based on facts that truly matter. That's why Federal Rule of Evidence for 101 is so important. It keeps the courtroom fair, focused, and efficient.